to another edition of the Interstellar Modeler. What I'd like to do in this video is to show you how you can expand beyond what typically comes in a kit to make a unique display or just to add to the appearance of a model. So for this video I'd like to use my Deep Space Nine models, beginning here with the Runabout, and then I'll show you what I've done with the USS Defiant, and finally with the Deep Space Nine station itself. So first we have the Runabout here by AMT. This kit was produced many years ago. The model itself here was painted with Tester's light gray, which is one of my favorite colors to use. And along with light gray, I used some light grays here to paint some of the darker accents. And along the hull, I used pastels to give the model some weathering. And the top section here was painted with camouflage gray, just to give it a little variance here from the ship itself. So the model itself is very straightforward build, not too complicated to put together. And so when the model was pieced together and it was sitting on the shelf, it looked a little plain to me. Even though the model itself is kind of interesting to look at, I wanted to add something else to the model to make it a little more interesting to look at. So what I wanted to do is create a base, and so I came up with this landing pad here. And it's not really based on anything, this is really my own design, but I'll show you how I put this together. Just some additional pieces that you see here. Since the model is 1/72 scale, I found some train figures that are supposed to be that scale, and I painted them into well, I painted them with Starfleet uniforms there. And then next to it you'll see there's a little shuttle pod here, the L-Boz from the USS Enterprise, so I'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. Alright, so let's spend a few minutes talking about the base that I created here. So my goal was to create a landing pad for the Runabout. And I have to begin by saying that I can't take full credit for this completely, because I did come across something similar to this online many years ago. It has been quite some time since I put this together, but that is what inspired me to try this on my own. And so I kind of drew this design out on paper and decided to attempt to put this together by taking a piece of scrap wood that I had lying around the house. And then I went to my local hobby store and purchased a bunch of styrene plastic. So the piece here is made up of sheets of styrene. There's 3 sheets. There's one here, and this rectangular sheet here. And then I also purchased strips of styrene plastic to create this grid pattern that you see here. And it was great because it also covered the seam that divided the 2 pieces of styrene anyway. So I further cut other pieces of styrene in these rectangular configurations, and not only did I buy just plain sheets of styrene, but I also purchased these other pieces of plastic that had these striations that you see here, and I cut them out just to add some variation to the piece. So once this was all laid down, I then took an airbrush and colored the yellow lines that you see, and then I proceeded to weather it by using pastels to give the line some definition all along here. So without spending much money, I ended up with a landing pad for the Runabout. So rather than the model looking like that, you just take it and place it onto the pad like so. And we have now a landing pad for our Runabout. So I decided to add a few more things, and so I went back to the hobby store and found these characters here. These are 1/72 scale characters, and it made me realize how big the Runabout is. I guess if you stick the character next to the door, it appears to be the correct size. So but yeah, I was able to come up with these characters here. I took some paint, of course, and painted these Starfleet uniforms on them. And so it gave me some characters here that could interact or look like they were talking to each other. And then on a site called FederationModels.com, I was able to find a model of the shuttle pod. So this is a resin model kit. Very, very simple to put together. It really just comes with 3 pieces, the main body and the nacelles. And the ship is also 1/72 scale. So Adds a little bit more dimension to your display here by putting this little shuttle pod from the Enterprise right next here to the Runabout. And when all's said and done, it makes it a bit more interesting to look at. So very pleased with the way this turned out. And so with not costing much money, you're able to build a base that you can easily put this piece into a cabinet and display so that the model just doesn't stand alone on its, by itself. Alright, so let's move on to the USS Defiant. The Defiant was a ship that came into the series, I believe, in the 3rd season, just to be able to get those characters off the station in something other than a runabout. And with the Dominion coming into the story arc, they needed something that was going to have some firepower, so they came up with this design. So the one thing I wanted to point out is you notice both with the Runabout here and as well as the Defiant, you see here, the decals are starting to yellow, which is really disappointing. These are the decals that actually came with the kit, so at some point I'm going to have to strip these decals off and reapply them because they're starting to look pretty bad here. But what I wanted to point out here was the damage, the battle damage that I was able to add to the ship, and I was inspired by Star Trek First Contact because this tough little ship was fighting the Borg, as we saw in the beginning scenes of the movie. And so I decided to look up some images on the internet and try to find some that I could use as a guide to create the battle damage Defiant. So let's take a look at this one nacelle here on the right side of the model here. So what I decided to do was to cut open some pieces here, and you figure, it was a little, at first a little difficult to do this. At least I was a little conflicted about doing this simply because, I'd taken all this time to paint all these details here on the surface, but I decided just to go ahead with it, and so I started off damaging this this nacelle here. So what I did was I took a Dremel and basically cut out some pieces here, and just kind of in a shape of just a random shape essentially, and then I heated up the sides, was able to soften up the plastic so I could bend it outwards so it looks like the part here was blown outwards, and all the rest of this was done really with pastels. It was just really taking a brush and applying the pastels over and over and over again until I got this nice dark coloration that you see right here. I applied some heat here also to kind of melt the surface of the ship, and I did that simply with a barbecue lighter, so something you want to be careful of because you don't want to catch anything on fire. So you just want to make sure everything is clear that could potentially catch fire. But that's how I did this here. I melted the plastic here just to kind of show some extreme heat, and then what I did to give it some more depth is I just took a collection of random parts that I had just in a drawer from different model kits. I believe some of these were from an X-Wing fighter, and just to fill in these sections right here so it looks like there are components underneath there that are being exposed. Okay, so if we move along the kit here, there's just other areas that were blown out here. So there's this area here, same thing, cut it out, applied some of the heat to really give that edge a warped appearance, and added some phaser hits here just by using pastels in a star-shaped pattern. I just created this here with chipping the surface, and then just some more battle damage here and back here. And then all along the bottom of the ship, again, just using pastels just to dirty the model up a bit, giving it some weathering, and just making it look like it's been through quite a battle. So in the end, what we have here is a replica of the battle-damaged USS Defiant. And so this is definitely a departure from just having a kit that's in mint condition to one that gives it a little bit more character and just something different to display. And finally, I'd like to show you the Deep Space Nine space station itself. This model kit was produced by AMT in the mid to late 90s, and the kit itself was painted here with Testor's Metallizer Titanium, I believe, and I just mixed some different colors to get the yellowish highlights that you see here painted along the inner ring and the outer rings as well. The model also, in addition, comes with these little runabouts that you see on the landing pads here. And so it's a pretty nice kit to look at. It's fairly decent size, so you definitely have to have some room to display it. And so in and of itself, it's a very interesting kit to look at. But what I decided to do was to add one other piece here, and that is the USS Defiant itself. Yep, and this model was purchased from Federation Models. They really do have a lot of unique little kits there, so you might want to check out that website. And this is a one-piece kit, so there was, of course, no assembly. Really, all you needed was a fine paintbrush, which certainly goes to show the importance of having the right paintbrushes here. Because with a steady hand, you just meticulously paint the little details or the markings here that the Defiant is known for. And then the model itself, of course, comes with the little decals as well. So without really spending too much money here, you can add just one other little thing that makes the model stand out a little bit more. And just by adding that little ship, it makes the whole model look a little different. So my goal in this video was to show you guys how with just a little imagination and not much money you can create some interesting displays for your models, or you can just take your models and detail them a little differently so that you have something that expands beyond what just comes in the box. As usual, I'd like to thank you for watching my videos. If you have any questions, you can always email me, and until next time, take care.